Hi guys, welcome or welcome back. What would you do if a virus swept over the whole earth and you were the only survivor left? What would you do if you were the only man left on earth? Today, we are watching and reacting to The Last Man on Earth, a 2015 thriller that claims to be a prediction of the year 2030. Let's get into it.
After a mysterious unnamed virus takes out every human being, Philip Miller is the last man on Earth. He has been living alone for the past year and is driving around America to look for more people. He goes to every single state, making announcements to empty cities and stealing artifacts and paintings from museums. After the failed mission to find humans, Philip decides to return to his hometown.
Just right into the movie. Why is he stealing artifacts and art and stuff? Because they are basically worth nothing if no one is on Earth, right? Because there's no one left on Earth aside him to set up the economy, to make it a competitive sort of capitalism state or whatever, capitalist state, right? I don't know, it's just funny. It just shows that he has hope that he may find other people on Earth. And the movie is The Last Man on Earth, but they are just showing America. Do they think America is like the only country on Earth? Hello? We Africans are here. Asians are there. Europeans, Australians, like what? But of course, we're just seconds into the movie recap. Let's watch it and see what happens. Or if they really show the whole Earth,
Tucson. Still, at the last attempt to find someone, he writes "Alive in Tucson" on every billboard he can find. In Tucson, he goes to his shabby apartment and packs up all the necessary stuff before making his way to a gated community in the more lavish part of the city. He chooses the biggest house and declares it as his new home. He spends the next few days decorating the house with all the famous paintings, a mat from the White House, a dinosaur skull, Academy Awards, and many more artifacts worth billions of dollars. Nicolas Cage would be proud. Every day before going to sleep.
This is exciting. I'm sure that, I'm happy that he's not a soap story. He knows he's the last man on earth, or he thinks he's the last man on earth right now, right? But it's not like a soap story. He's trying to find ways to entertain himself, engage himself, probably doing everything that he never got to do, in his normal life when everybody was still in America, right? But then again, all these things mean nothing. The Academy Awards mean nothing because there's no one else on earth, or there's no one else in America in this context. It really doesn't mean nothing. There's no one there to recognize your effort, recognize you. It means it's worth nothing, basically. Who gets what I'm saying? Type in the comments if you get what I'm saying. All these things mean nothing if there's no one else on earth to congratulate you, to affirm your actions, to recognize your actions, to reward your effort. There's no one left on earth. But I love that he's doing this to make himself happy, I guess. To live in a moment that he has never experienced, right? Let's continue.
Philip makes sure to apologize to God for masturbating so much and wishes that he sees the face of at least one woman before his death. Thankfully, there are still a plethora of cars that he can use to drive around. He goes to the grocery store in his underwear and breaks in using a gun. In only a year, he has completely forgotten basic decency. Now that he has no one to impress, he also does everything that was just an impulsive thought before the virus, like destroying the pile of cans in the store and bringing hundreds of adult films home. To pass time, he plays racquetball with himself, uses lamps and aquariums.
Okay, I'm trying to understand the plot of the movie because first of all, if it is a virus, if it was a virus that indeed killed everyone in America or on Earth, as they claim, how did the virus spread? definitely was contagious, right? Right? So how did it spread? Through the air, through contact? Because the way he's touching things without sanitizing his hands. I mean, hello, we are in 2025, but if you were here in 2020, you would know that a virus spreading is not something to joke with, right? Why is he touching stuff? Going into people's homes and all that when like they all died from this supposed virus that killed them. Right? Or maybe because everybody died, the earth was naturally neutralized and sanitized? And if everybody on earth died, like who buried their bodies? Why are we not seeing dead bodies? Because definitely not everybody had a family. Hello? Maybe I'm thinking too deeply or too logically into this, but I have questions. I do have questions. So if by any chance you've watched the full movie and these questions are answered in the fuller movie, let me know in the comments. But right now, I don't believe this plot at all. And we're just like 1 minute and 36 seconds into this movie recap. Let's continue.
As bowling pins and crashes cars into each other. The chaos makes him feel a hint of adrenaline and helps him cope with the loneliness. After about a month, he starts to lose his sense of sanity. Moreover, being alone on his birthday reminds him of everything he failed to appreciate when life was normal. He misses his mother, his life, and humans in general. The scene cuts to a few months later. The grand mansion Philip lived in has turned into a dumping site. It is filled with plastic and cans that he never cleans up because there won't be a meaning to it anyway. He hasn't showered in days and has started living like an animal.
Oh my God, I was just clicking pause to say this. That his actions show how humans are actually really animals, if you think about it. Yes, like we are the highest civilized form of animals, right? We are humans. But I was just about to say that his actions really prove that humans innately were animals. I was just about to say it and this narrator said it. Great minds think alike. Because look at how he's like, look at all the rubbish around. Again, it won't mean anything because like there's no one, I mean, okay, but there's still pollution. I mean, even though you're the only one on earth, right? The environment still exists, so there's still pollution. But again, right, it won't mean nothing to clean it, right? Look at how he's acting on all his impulsive thoughts. It really shows how animalistic humans really are. It's just that like in the context of life that we live in, we are like the most civilized form of animals, right? Let's continue.
The house lacks running water, and the toilet is covered in plastic bottles. So instead, Philip makes a hole in the springboard and uses the pool as his toilet. He also fills a kid's pool with margaritas.
Aren't there other houses he could...
simultaneously drinking from it. Let's hope he never gets the two pools confused. Then, one day, he goes to the bar and draws faces on balls, assigning them names and personalities. He talks to them like they are his real friends, just to feel like he isn't lonely. At night, he brings a ball named Gary to a clothing store.
This man is disgusting.
That he has a crush on. When her arm breaks, Philip loses his mind. He decides that he doesn't want to live anymore and goes to the nearby hill to commit the unthinkable. He wishes farewell to all of his
He wrote November-ish.
Promising to remember them for eternity. Then he gets inside his car and drives towards the hill at full speed.
Don't tell me he meets somebody at this.
He sees smoke rising far away and stops the car seconds before it crashes.
If this wasn't predictable, I don't know what other plot would have been. See how I just predicted that he might see a sign of life or meet somebody else? But hey, let's watch. Maybe this smoke has been burning throughout his loneliness on Earth or America and he didn't realize till now. Who knows? Maybe there's no human there. Let's continue.
Philip can almost not believe his eyes. He immediately follows the smoke and reaches a trailer that is clearly inhabited by a person. Then he notices something he had been
I hope
begging
it's
to
not
see
an animal,
for the past
a
year.
woman.
Someone has left their bra
Oh.
to dry in the sun. Philip smells it and is so overwhelmed
Are
that
we
he falls
surprised?
unconscious. When he wakes up, he sees a beautiful girl holding him in her lap. She seductively promises to fulfill his wishes and kisses him. Philip is enjoying the kiss before he wakes up and realizes he was dreaming. The girl in front of him is less attractive and older. She is performing CPR on him to bring him back. They pull away from each other, weirded out upon seeing another human after so long. Philip asks her where the beautiful woman is, until she points out he should be worried about his wet underpants instead. It turns out that he peed himself when he was unconscious. Even in a situation like this, Philip claims that he
Disgusting.
was swimming from the front side earlier, which is why his underpants are wet. He aggressively starts explaining that he did not pee himself, which makes the girl panic. She brings out a gun, asking him to stay away.
You know what? What if men just act civilized because women are around? Because think about it. He did not give a hoot. He did not care at all when he thought he was the only one on earth. Like, he was just living his life, you know? He wasn't shaving. He wasn't bathing, right? He was drinking, stuff like that. But once he's come into contact with a woman, he's somewhat embarrassed. And he's lying about why he looks the way he looks. Does anyone get what I'm saying? He's blatantly lying about how he looks the way he looks, that he was swimming from the front. What? Even the dumbest of human beings will not believe that, because water absorbs. Like, huh? That's something to think about. I wonder what men would do if there were no women on earth. Like, there'd be like a big party on earth. That is just like my imagination of how things would go. Like, they would walk the streets naked. They would do the most impulsive things that come into their minds. They will cut down trees, build games. They will not bathe. Like, they may go like unshaven for years even. Right? Let me know if you're thinking the same thing. Like, this just made me think about that. Let's continue.
Philip finally admits that he did in fact pee and is embarrassed. After both of them calm down,
We knew
they
that.
introduce themselves. The girl's name is Carol. She used to be an analyst before the virus and has been wandering around America after everyone died. She saw the Alive in Tucson sign and came here to see if she really is the last person alive. Although Philip had been dying to meet a woman, he isn't very excited to see Carol. She repeatedly corrects his grammar, doesn't understand his jokes, and keeps talking about irrelevant things. After talking for a while, they decide to drive to the grocery store. On the
Irrelevant things to him, I think, because this seems like a very smart woman. She was what? A data analyst before the virus. I think they might meet more people, right? Because this is in the context of only America, right? And even within America, I'm sure they might meet more people. There are more people out there like them also looking for signs of life, right?
way, Carol complains about him crossing the stop sign. Despite Philip arguing that
Bro,
there
there's
is
no one
traffic,
here.
she remains adamant that they have to follow.
Laws and rules and regulations are only created to make a society more civilized. If there's no one here, what? Even under normal circumstances, right? I think I learned this from, I don't drive, but I heard someone say that, like, if it's at dawn and you were driving on the street, if there's no other cars on the street, when there's a red light, you can just go. Because the whole point of, like, rules, regulations, laws, all that was just to make the society an abiding society, like a more civilized society, you know, to put more order into society, to bring more order. That's just the whole point of rules, regulations, laws, norms. At least that's what I remember from my philosophy class. Philosophy 101. Law class. Okay, let's continue.
The rules, or else they will start living like animals.
Girl.
To make her feel better,
He's already living like an animal.
And looks to both sides, confirming that no one is crossing the road. Her nagging doesn't stop when
He's
they
being
reach the grocery
sarcastic.
store, and Philip parks in the handicap spot. They get into their fifth argument of the day, with Philip insisting that this imaginary handicapped person has a lot of space to park his car. When Carol still urges him to park somewhere else, he runs the vehicle straight into the store. Following that, she goes to take a tour of his house and is disgusted by the way he lives. He has 2 swimming pools, one filled with feces.
You know, he could have just clearly sent her to another house that I'm sure exists because no other person is occupying other houses. Like, what? Look at how big this mansion is. Like, how big this house is. It's typically a mansion. Literally. So I'm sure he lives in a neighborhood now that has other houses. He could have just said where his home. This man is annoying me. The woman is far more annoying though. She is far more annoying though. Let's admit that in the comments, please.
And the other with garbage. Carol also accuses him of stealing the paintings, even though he argues they didn't belong to anyone anymore. By the end of the house tour,
Basically,
Philip asks her to go back to her campsite. The next morning, he is woken up by Carol cleaning up his house. She nags him to get gardening and cleaning supplies from the store because they have to start living like human beings. At night, Philip goes to his ball buddies and complains about Carol. Even though he has only known her for a day, he feels like they are a married couple who desperately need to get a divorce. The following morning, things get worse for him as she moves into the house next door. He tries to shoo her away, but Carol, being Carol, is stubborn. She asks him if he is scared of being seen naked, and as a reply, Philip takes off his pants. Carol finally addresses the elephant in the room and brings up the topic of reproduction. She thinks that they are the chosen ones who have been given the duty to repopulate the earth. Philip says he wouldn't sleep with her even if she was the last woman on earth, which is true in this case. In the next...
You know what? She might be onto something. I mean, he's a male, she's a female. They can reproduce and populate the earth again. They might be, 2030s Adam and Eve. Right? The fact that he's so reluctant to do it is just like funny, I guess. Look at how she came to clean his house. Like, no, he's responsible for his own mess. Like, why do you come and clean up his house? Nobody asked you to do that. But I guess that's just who she is.
Scene. He is in his outdoor toilet when Carol approaches him. She wants him to find a way to get running water to their house. That way, they can grow tomatoes and other fruits. When he refuses to help, she tries to bribe him with fresh tomatoes, but he doesn't care. She should know better than to try bribing a guy who poops off a diving board. However, when it gets dark,
But come to think of it, there are no humans on earth, so nobody is continually producing products, right? So very soon, clearly all the items, the products in the grocery stores that he keeps visiting might either expire. I don't know if expiration will mean anything if there's nobody on earth to acknowledge that, but will either expire, go stale, get spoiled, or just like run out. And again, there's no human on earth, so the people that like operate our water systems, our gas systems and things like that. Oh my goodness, I'm just thinking about the brutality of, or like the reality of humans not being on earth and being the last person, the last man on earth. If you don't know how to like operate certain things, you might not survive. Like the people that pump our water for our waters to reach our homes, in the towns, in the town councils and things like that. How is water going to reach your home? The people that operate like the machines, those industrial machines that run the world. Oh my goodness. This is really a big deal. I'm now realizing like the realness of the situation. She's right, they need to start planting. Whew, okay.
breaks into her garden and eats all of her vegetables. Carol knocks on his door the next morning and finds him covered in leftover tomatoes. Philip
Man,
still
it's
claims that
disgusting.
he isn't the one who stole them. He also notices Carol has hurt her leg while trying to transfer water to her house from a manhole. A few days later, she gives up on trying to live like a decent human. Philip finds her making an outdoor toilet in a fountain, copying his swimming pool toilet. Carol thinks that they might not be the chosen ones, but instead the forgotten ones who have no purpose in life. They are in no way capable of creating an entire human civilization when they cannot even arrange.
You know, I get it now. He stopped using the toilet in his home because there's basically no water system. So water does not even reach the system for you to flush, right? So like the best option for him was to go to town in his pool, which is still disgusting. Let's just continue. Thinking about it makes me sick.
A toilet in their $1 million mansions. Philip, who is used to seeing Carol as an optimistic person, feels awful for her. Hence, he goes to the city's water tank and arranges a way to water Carol's garden. She is finally happy to see a good side to him and invites him for dinner. At night, Philip enjoys an organic meal. After a long time, the topic of sex is brought up, and Philip says he is ready to sleep with her now. However, to his surprise,
So he didn't know how to cook. Who am I to judge? Hey.
Carol doesn't want to make love before marriage. Initially, Philip laughs, thinking that it is a joke, but she turns out to be serious. Even though the idea is ridiculous, he proposes to make her feel better. At last, they decide to get married the next day. In the following scene,
This is funny. There's one side to it. She's been so structured by society and the rules and the regulations and the laws that when no one is even there, that is how she lives her life, you know? Because basically, like, marriage is, yes, under law, it's something that is recognized under the government, right? But marriage is something that also was introduced, like, through religion, through family, through traditions and things like that. And there's really no one on earth left to really acknowledge those traditions anymore. So, realistically, it is no more important. I don't know if anyone is getting me, but she has been so structured by societal norms and societal like expectations and things like that, that it has become her, you know. Another side is, that is who she is. Like, it is like, those are like her intrinsic values. And so regardless of if there are laws, there are rules and regulations, there are people there or not, that is what she chooses. That is how she chooses to live her life, because that is who she is. You know, we can look at it both ways. Let me know what you think in the comments, you know.
they are in church saying their vows. Philip thinks it isn't necessary, but goes with the act anyway. When they step out of the church, they are welcomed by a crowd of guests. Philip
What?
realizes he has made a mistake and screams. Then he wakes up on his bed, thankful that it was only a dream. He even has to check out the window to ensure that most of the world is still dead. A while later, Carol comes to his house with food. She thinks they should elect the president of the United States.
Oh, wait. He meant the wedding is a dream, but like the woman is really real. Oh my goodness. I thought the whole thing was a dream. I literally thought like, not him not being the last man on earth, but I thought he was really still the last man on earth, but him finding the woman and everything was just a dream. But basically, he's still one of the last people on earth, and she's literally real. It's just the wedding part that it was a dream. Am I getting it right? What?
By voting, it is useless, but Philip elects himself and becomes the president unanimously. Then, the two enjoy spaghetti and raisin balls, which Carol thinks is a good alternative to meatballs. Following that, the day of the wedding finally comes. Carol prepares the decorations and cake.
Wait,
while
they are really
Philip is
getting
tasked
married?
to get rings for them. However, instead of getting the rings, he throws a bachelorette party for his ball buddies, setting fire to random things in a parking lot. He even goes to say goodbye to the mannequin, telling her that she will will always remain the love of his life. At the end of the day, he goes to the church, where Carol has prepared a recording that will officiate their wedding. After brief vows, it is finally time to exchange rings. This
It doesn't
is when
matter.
Carol discovers that he didn't get them. She realizes she is the only one putting effort and calls off the wedding. Later, Philip knocks on her door.
Oh, she's now realizing. What? Like, let's continue.
Trying to talk to her, but she doesn't reply. Hence, he breaks down the front door with a hammer and enters the house. To his surprise, she has actually put in an effort to decorate it. She has even prepared a cake for them with his statue on top. Philip feels awful about what he did and apologizes to her. He also reveals that he doesn't...
Wow, that means like it really matters to her. Like she spends like hours decorating the whole house. Like there's nobody on earth to care about that. It shows that like that is really who she is, you know? Or it could also be those societal expectations or brainwash or whatever you, for lack of a better word, still affecting her, you know? Cause, why would no one be on it and I would spend hours like decorating the place? Bro, please. Even I don't think I would do that.
really like her personality or the food she cooks, but even so, he is glad that she exists, because without her, he would not be alive right now. With that being said, Philip brings her out to do something special. In the following scene, they go to a jewelry shop where Carol gets all the rings she wants. They finally officiate the wedding and are declared husband and wife. At night, the two make love, but the experience is not how Philip thought it would be. Carol cannot stop talking throughout the night, making strange remarks that she thinks are hot. The next morning, she finds him playing racquetball in his home. Philip thinks she is going to nag him again, but to his surprise, she joins him in the game. They enjoy the rest of the day doing things like Philip normally does. They make fireproof suits and set each other on fire, run a bulldozer over beer cans, and go to meet...
I'm sure that made him like the happiest man on earth. I'm sure that made him so happy. Like, he's just like a big child, you know? Aren't all men? Forget I said that.
Philip's ex-girlfriend, who is a mannequin. Carol talks to her for a while before beating her up for hitting on her husband. For the first time, Philip is glad that he married her and thinks that their life might be tolerable. As they are driving back home, they suddenly hit a limo in a junction. Shocked, Philip runs to the car and sees a beautiful woman come out of it. Just when he thought he was happy with his wife, he starts to regret their marriage.
What?
To know what happens to them next, watch the second part on our new channel, Series Recap.
What is the point of this movie? Huh? What will I rate this movie? I'm like out of words. Like, huh? What's the point? Look, okay. Tomorrow we're watching part 2. Because what was the point of all that? Guys, stay tuned because tomorrow we're locking into part 2. We're locking in. Because how could you leave us like this? How can the movie end like this? Huh? What was the whole point? He's the only man left on earth. He lives his life like an animal the way he wants to. He finds a woman who is not really like his spec or his type, for lack of better words. They go through challenges. He ends up marrying her. He realizes that, okay, I'm beginning to actually like this, my life with this woman. And then, right then, he meets his idealist type. And then when the movie ends, like that. Like, what's the point of the movie? Who gets the... Look, maybe all our questions will be answered in part 2. So, make sure you lock in tomorrow because part 2 is going down. But just for this, I would give it a 3 out of 10. A solid 3 out of 10. I'm not sure if it's a thriller or a comedy, you know. I feel like it's given like a comedic vibe to it, you know. It's given like a comedic vibe. Maybe I'm wrong. If you've watched the full movie, let me know in the comment how it goes. But just from this recap, I'm seeing it as a more comedic vibe. Will I go watch the full movie? Not really, you know. But stay tuned for part 2. In fact, let me throw it back to you. Should we watch part 2? If we should watch it, please give this video a thumbs up. Like this video. Let me know in the comments and we'll see what happens. Thank you so much for sticking around with me, guys. Until tomorrow, subscribe! Bye, guys.